My apologies. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we've got a very special video for us today, and I am doing my utmost best. I'm doing the most I possibly can to control my laughter at this point in time, because, ladies and gentlemen, officially, as of December 3rd, 2025, Honkai Star Rail is the Honkai Star Rail is the first Hoyoverse game to drop to double-digit viewers on Twitch. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Honkai Star Rail this morning had a grand total of 44 channels streaming the game and 96 viewers. When you count the fact that each streamer counts as their own viewer, that meant that we had about 52 actual viewers in the category, taking out the streamers playing the game. 52 individuals on twitch.com watching somebody play Honkai Star Rail right after its bombshell 3.7 update, Cyrene, the end of Amphorius, the conclusion to the arc. You got a bunch of 10-year-old kids and their mom watching for emotional support. That's how dead this game has become, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end for Honkai Star Rail, because I think that a lot of individuals have seen this game for what it is. Something that started out with a massive, massive amount of potential. You can see it over here simply due to how incredibly popular the game used to be. And then it quickly fell out of fashion the second Petacani ended, and then they decided to shovel mediocrity after mediocrity to us in some of the worst patches and easily the worst region ever conceived in gacha history, Amphorius. They just decided to recycle every goddamn thing they did during Honkai Impact 3rd and the Flame Chaser arc in the Elysian Realm, because I guess creativity isn't something that Hoyoverse is dishing up much of nowadays, because this is just Elysia with a different fucking name. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, it appears that the population of this game, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that the population of this game seems to be agreeing, because nobody wants to watch. And perhaps most importantly, nobody wants to play this game anymore. Because one thing that you would notice, right? This is only 44 channels that are streaming the game, right? 34 in this case. Look at how many people were streaming the game back then. 300, 119, 400, 338. Look at those insane numbers. And look at where it's at right now, where it struggles to break 100 regularly. It struggles to break 100 people that want to even play the game in the first place on this platform. This has been a long time coming. This is something that so many CCs, so many individuals predicted was going to happen after these developers over at Hoyoverse decided to fully invest into pay to win and remove any semblance of free-to-play playability from this game. We all said that global passives with Casterus, we're going to herald the end of this game in the West. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone that said that was entirely 100% million fucking correct. They were not wrong. Let's take a look at this over here. This was the start of the end. Version 3.2, ladies and gentlemen, where on top of releasing a character who had the ability to negate death for any unit on your account, no matter where she slotted, a global passive, they combined that with the most predatory thing that anyone has ever seen in Honkai Star Rail. And that was their amazing Cherished Recollection spending event, where you were influenced to spend hundreds of dollars to get things like 5-star units, a bunch of amazing resources to be able to upgrade your characters, and of course, for the purpose of lining Dwayne's pockets so he can purchase his 67th yacht. Yes, there was a spending event for that, but that wasn't enough. They had global passives, they had a spending event, money-grubbing behavior, where your only objective is to extract as much value as you can from your player's wallet. That's what they were doing in 3.2. That was in April of this year. Then in 3.4, guys, only 80 days later, Only 80 days after their first spending event ever, Honkai Star Rail decided to have their second one. 80 days after the first spending event, they added a second one to the game where they decided to, hey, just pull 200 times in one version when you don't even get 200 pulls in the version. Pull 200 times in one version to get the light cone for free. In one version? And guys, this was obviously one of the most predatory fucking things these developers could have done. But that didn't stop the most disgusting shills in the space. That didn't stop the Mr. Pokies from defending it. That didn't stop Mr. Pokey from defending the shit out of it. And that also didn't stop his partner in crime, Mr. 7 out of 10, from saying the same goddamn thing. From saying the same goddamn thing about the spending event as well. You got the Clapped Walnut and the Hoyoverse joining hands together to say that this is the most amazing thing ever. Turns out some CCs might know less about the space than you actually thought. Because yeah, it turns out 7 months in a row of incredibly predatory behavior can end up with a player base that fucking hates your game. Which you should probably know if you're a self-professed individual who plays a lot of gacha games. But again, right, this is just the present state. That was version 3.4. There's more, though. In version 3.7, the version that we're currently on, ladies and gentlemen, they have yet another spending event. So in the span of 5 versions, 3.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, it's 6 versions. Over the span of 6 versions, they've had 3 spending events. 3 spending events in 6 versions. What is wrong with this company? How does this company keep doing it, knowing that they're actively killing the viewership and the engagement of this game, because the only people that are left to enjoy it are the ones that spend thousands of dollars on the game a month or year. Those are the only individuals left who are able to play this game, because I already talked to you about the blatantly absurd things that they're doing on the monetization side. Guys, you want to see what the most recent Memory of Chaos HP chart looks like, guys? Check that shit out over here. Boom. Memory of Chaos floor 12 HP trend. Currently, I do believe we are at about, I don't even know. Is that like 27 million? Is that like 26 million? All I know is it's a fucking fuck ton. Guys, that's just been the game. They used to be at 3 million or 6 million, however much it was. Now it's at like 7 times that. It's at like 8. It's 8 times what it used to be at the start of the game. There's been like 800% HP inflation since the game launched. This is how bad the kits in the game have gotten. It's 800% HP inflation since Sela was in the fucking game, bro. This is when... This is Jing Yuan and Sela, bro. And this is the present. What do you call this except absurd, disgusting mismanagement of your game that has led to pretty much every past player of it thinking it's hot, steaming garbage? And you want to know basically the proof that people pretty much unilaterally know that the game is going downhill? It's seeing viewership numbers like this, ladies and gentlemen, for creators like Mr. Pokey. Y'all remember when this guy... This guy used to be farming like fucking crazy when it came to HSR. HSR is the reason why he was able to buy a fucking house, right? I think with the way that this game is going, bro might not be able to afford his fucking mortgage payments anymore. Because what the fuck is going on viewership-wise, man? It popped off like crazy when 3.7 was here because, of course, the nostalgia hit for the game was nuts. It had a crazy peak, but now it's the lowest it's ever been in the history of the game. Nostalgia hit was huge, and now it's the lowest it's ever been. And I'm going to be real, guys. When you compare this to back in the day, when the game is good, and now nobody's viewing the game anymore after they added in global passives, 3 spending events, and on top of that, the most absurd, ridiculous HP inflation that nobody in the gacha space has ever seen before. Now the game's getting no views anywhere. And when you remember that Mr. Pokey is the same guy that said power creep doesn't exist, if you think power creep is a problem, you're just greedy and stupid. Yeah, it's all the player's fault. Hoyoverse is doing nothing wrong. You got all the tools you need to deal with this power creep. You're just choosing not to because you're dumb and greedy. Little boy. You remember that? Yeah, I already said, I told this guy at the start of the year he was going to regret that narrative. I told this guy at the start of the year he was going to regret and that he should recant when it comes to his support of the corporate power creep that was ruining HSR. Bro did not listen at all. And, yeah, I guess we're in a bit of a fun situation, aren't we? Because nobody is playing this fucking game anymore. Especially not me, and especially not anybody that I fucking know. Because guess what? They don't want to be nickel and dime just for the privilege of being able to play MOC. That's not really fun anymore. Yeah, that's called pay to have fun. And that's every single Hoyoverse game nowadays. But Honkai Star Rail, without a doubt, has been the pioneer when it comes to this in the space. And so I think that in all aspects, this game is pretty much absolutely cooked. The only thing that I think HSR had going for it was the brand of Hoyoverse. And the thing is that Hoyoverse has essentially turned that brand worthless because Hoyo used to mean that it was going to be a high-quality game that might be a little bit stingy when it comes to the monetization, but it'll be a high-quality game with nice animations that should last a long time. Now Hoyo is known for running games for like 2, maybe 3 years if you're lucky, but running games for like a short period of time and then turning them into cash cows and making them unfucking playable unless you spend a fuck ton of money. That's what Hoyoverse is known for now. They transitioned Genshin into a cash cow game. HSR was the first cash cow game, and now ZZZ is slowly lining up for it. And I'm gonna be honest, this game, it don't have enough gameplay to come back. This game's gameplay, guys, is you pressing the auto button. Because God fucking knows, when your gameplay consists of every character only having 2 fucking buttons, there's not a lot of complexity that you can add without locking that complexity behind limited banners. Because Genshin only has 2 buttons too. And they've added all the complexity to their fucking team-up passives where, oh, by the way, did you not have 2 Nod Cry units? Oh yeah, you can't kill these fucking guys. Sorry. And in this game, you have 2 buttons for each character. How are you going to add depth other than ridiculous amounts of power creep and disgusting enemy mechanics that only like 3 units on the roster can solve? Because if everyone can solve everything, you can't have a depth in a fucking 3-button game. That's just really how it is. And, yeah, I'm going to be real with you over here. The sun has basically set. I already talked about before how this was basically the swan song of the game. This little bump over here. You see this bump over here that seems quite large? It's the biggest bump the game has had in a while. The past couple of versions of Amphorius have been an absolute rampant fucking disappointment, as you can see over here. And I think this, as its conclusion, is really going to be the last that most people are going to be seeing of this game. I think that unless 4.x completely reboots the game and changes literally everything, all people are going to think of when they see this title is, oh, okay, I'll pull a unit and then they'll be useless in 2 months, and then I won't be able to do any of the content in the game unless I pay money. That's what it is. And that's what this game is known for. And I don't think there's anybody on this planet that wants to go back to that, because it's the reason why we all quit. Everything these greedy fucking mindless developers have done is the reason why we quit. And they don't stop. And the existence of a 3rd spending event in 7 months should be proof to you alone. A 3rd spending event in 7 months for a $300 bow. That should be enough to tell you that this shit is completely fucking cooked. And these devs aren't looking to develop a game anymore. They're looking for an excuse for people to money launder. Because nobody is buying anything in this game expecting anything of worth anymore. It's literally just a scam. I already mentioned that this collab over here had a spending event. It was also the worst collaboration event, I think, in the history of gacha. I don't even think I mentioned that. It's literally the worst collab I think anyone has ever seen in the gacha space before. Just wanted to let you know. All right, peace out.